Get started. It's Tuesday. Today is day 2 of our Read Aloud series. If you are joining me, make sure in the comments, tell me your child's name so I can always shout them out, encourage them to continue. Let's get started.
Hello,
Hello,
bonjour,
bonjour,
hola,
hola,
vagnuda,
Vagnuda,
shalom,
shalom,
guten Tag,
guten Tag,
konnichiwa,
konnichiwa,
nehoma,
nehoma, round the world in every land, when we bow or shake our hands, or our what?
a smile on your face,
Say hello to the human race. Hello, buongiorno,
zdravo,
zdravo,
jumbo,
jumbo,
yasis,
yasis,
jonopot,
jonoput,
zdravstvuyte,
здравствуйте,
namaste,
namaste, round the world in every land, when we bow or shake our hands or our elbows,
heart
live the way, say hello to a brand new day. Hello,
aloha,
all right, now that we are all warmed up, let's take a look at our book for today. So this week we are asking ourselves the question, where does our food come from? If you were here yesterday, even if you weren't, you can always go back and check yesterday's Read Aloud. It's all about right this very minute. And we are looking at this little girl's breakfast and her snacks, talking about where her food comes from and the connection to farming. So if you're just joining us, make sure you say hi in the comments, shout out who your child's name is so I can always give them some encouragement. And I know who's here with me today. Good morning. Paper and pencil would also be awesome. Here we go. Book number 2. This book is an awesome book. This book is called How Did That Get in My Lunchbox? The Story of Food. This story is by Chris Butterworth, and the illustrator is Lucia Gagliotti, I believe how you say it. I'm going to zoom in for you. In fact, I'm going to scoot up just a little bit so you guys can see it a little better. All right, let's jump right into it. First of all, look at the illustrations. Hi, Emma and Caleb. Hi, guys. So right now it's getting our brain ready. I like this part. What do you see over there? What is that a picture of? Call it out. Yes, it's a map. It's a map of the world. And if you look really closely, there's some arrows. So, I wonder if we're going to be talking about things around the map. Maybe around the world. You got it. Here we go. Paper and pencil if you don't have it yet. Here we go. Oh my goodness, look at all these kids. What do we think these kids are doing? What do you see them doing on the page? Call it out. What do you see? Yeah, looks like she's excited. What's she excited about? Oh, they have a lunch. They each have lunch boxes. This student doesn't have hot lunch box. Maybe they're getting hot lunch that day. And there's a clock. Where do you think they are? Call it out loud. Do you think they're at the park? Are they at the zoo? Maybe at school? Maybe at daycare? Here we go. One of the best parts of the day is when you lift the lid of your lunchbox to see what's inside. Your parents or your caregivers have packed it with lots of tasty things to eat. They probably got all the food from a grocery store. But food doesn't grow in stores. Remember, we talked about that yesterday. It doesn't grow in the stores. Where does it grow? Call it out if you remember from yesterday. Where does that food grow? Do you remember? Yes, like the oranges in your orange juice? Yes, it grows on a farm. Grows on a farm or sometimes a ranch, depending on what the farmer has. How just did all this food get in your lunchbox? So look at this child's lunchbox right here. Call out the foods that you see. What are they having for lunch today? Go ahead, call it out really loud. Yes, I heard that too. Yeah, the first thing I saw was that chocolate chip cookie, you bet. What else? Yep. Juice box. What kind of juice? Apple. Oranges. Maybe they're called cuties or clementines. Looks like a yummy sandwich. Some tomatoes and carrots. I bet there's some things in this lunchbox that you really like, and there might be some that are kind of meh, maybe not for you, but that's okay. It's always good to try new things. Okay, so we are gonna dive into this person's lunchbox. Let's go for it. How did the bread in your let's start over. How did the bread in your sandwich get in your lunchbox? How did it get in there? Yes, maybe your mom put it in there. Where'd your mom get it? Yes, she probably got it at the grocery store, but did it come from the grocery store? It didn't. Where did it come from? A farmer planted seeds in spring, and by summer they'd grown tall. Everyone put your hands up. Grow tall. Waving wheat with fat, ripe grains at the tip of every stalk. The farmer cut the wheat with a giant combine harvester and sent it to a flour mill. Okay, right away my brain is thinking, ding, 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 this sounds familiar. This looks familiar. Isn't there another book where we talked about where wheat came from? In yesterday's book, and right this very minute, that author taught us about wheat too. And look at that. Remember this picture? We learned about how the farmer drills furrows for the perfect depth of the seeds. I'm going to zoom in because this is a really cool tractor. And I know Caleb is on here and he is a big fan of farming machines. So take a look at that. Yes, so when you read a book, oftentimes our brains think about, oh, I've seen that before. I've heard about that before. Maybe it was on a show or a book. Grains, here we go. The farmer cuts the grains. The miller grounds the grains into flour, and the trucks took the flour to the bakery. The baker mixed the flour. Everyone show me how to mix. With water, add the water. Sugar and yeast, dump it in. Kneaded it into a soft, squishy dough and baked it in a very hot oven. Give me a thumbs up if you have ever made bread or pancakes or waffles. Yep. Flour, water, yeast, sugar, grains. Out comes fresh loads of bread ready to send to the store. That's where your bread comes from. All right, so we're going to jump over to the next page. This is another part of their sandwich. What part of their sandwich is here? What do you see that's yellow? Do you remember? If you don't remember, it's okay. Good readers even go back and check if you don't remember. What was yellow in their lunch on that sandwich? Call it out if you know it. I know some of you know it. It's sneaking out. It's cheese. How did the cheese in your sandwich get in your lunchbox? Your cheese was once milk that came from you got it, cow. A farmer milked the cows, and a tanker from the dairy came to collect the milk. Then there was all these steps, and this steps happens as kind of what you could call an assembly line or in a long mixer. And they are doing something that's a big word. It's called pasteurization, or they pasteurize the milk. What that means is that they warm up the milk, they add bacteria and other healthy things to make it clean and digestible for us to eat. Then they store it into blocks of cheese after they've drained it. There's a whole process. Can you believe it? All these steps just to make cheese. Now, something super important to know is that these people, all these helpers here are specialists. They know exactly what they're doing. They've trained. It's almost like science. So if you're into science, it even connects to farming there. Okay, let's go to the next page. How did your tomatoes get in your lunchbox? Last summer, your tomatoes were growing in a big plastic tunnel full of tomato plants. The sun and the warmth made the plants grow tall and bloom with yellow flowers. As each flower died, a tiny green tomato fruit began to grow from its middle. Day by day, the plant sucked up the water and the tomatoes swelled from green to orange to red. So just how leaves change in the fall, they change color, so do fruits. When bunches of ripe scarlet tomatoes dangled from the branches, the grower picked them. Help me pick them. Ready? Plop, plop, plop. Very nice, Emma and Caleb. If you've joined us, Grown-ups, go ahead and type in your kids' names so I can call them out as well. Sort them, pack them, send them to the store, pop them in your mouth and squish that sweet, sour juice out. So a couple things I wanted to add in here. Again, remember on this last page, we talked about how there are specialists. There are specialists here. There's lots of people that are helping. Farmhands. A lot of people come and work every day in the fields. Some people inspect. Some people travel or transport all the goods to the stores. Lots of people that need to help, not just the one farmer. Lots of people helping on that farm. Okay, we're gonna skip to a page that I think you're really gonna like. Are you ready? What do you see on this page? Call it out. What are they having for dessert? You got it. Chocolate chip cookies. Oh my goodness. Now, wait a second. Do you grow these on the farm? Oh, do you hear my dog? She's playing over there. Do chocolate chip cookies grow on farms? No. But where do the chocolate chips come from? Did you know that you would need a farmer to get chocolate chips? I know. Pretty wild. Chocolate's one of my favorite foods too. So here we go. I want you to stop and guess. What plant, think in your brain, what plant do you think the chocolate comes from? If you know it, call it out. If you don't know it, just give me a sideways thumb like, I don't know. Okay, let's find out together. How did that chocolate chip in your cookie get into your lunchbox? Cookies are made from flour, sugar, and butter. And this one's got chocolate chips in it, my favorite. Chocolate starts off as a bean. Everyone show me a bean. Remember, beans are pretty little. Well, lots of beans, which grow in pods on a cocoa tree. The pods are picked from the tree. Then they're cut open and the beans are scooped out. These beans are spread out and left to dry in the sun. Those are the cocoa beans. The dried beans, oh, here's that map. Remember we were talking about around the world? Those dried beans are taken to a factory, sometimes on the other side of the world. In the factory, they're cleaned, roasted, ground into thick, sticky paste. Sugar's mixed in, dumped in that sugar. So the paste gets sweeter, but it's still gritty. So it's squeezed and stirred and melted and cooked. Look, here's this assembly process. To make it really smooth, it takes a lot of work to make that chocolate. Here's someone helping at the chocolate factory. Finally, the chocolate's made into blocks. So if you were to buy just a block of chocolate, like a candy bar, just a plain Hershey bar, for example, that's what she's making here. Then if you want chocolate chips, then a company, instead of pouring them into chocolate bars, they pour them into little chips. Just like that. Wow. There are so many more things that we could talk about in her lunchbox, but we are going to pause there today, and here is why. Now it is your turn. Get out that paper and pencil if you have it. And I'm going to give you the directions, and I'm going to show your grown-up one more time the title of the book. So if you want to check it out from your library and read the rest of it, you absolutely can. There it is. So what you're going to do right now, on your paper, you get to build your lunchbox. You are going to be building with your paper and pencil. You're going to be using your imagination and thinking about, if I got to pack my lunch, or if my grown-up packed my lunch, what would they probably put in it? Now, some of you might say, just chocolate chip cookies. And I know. Man, if I could eat just chocolate chip cookies, then I would. But my body needs more. My body needs fruit. It needs vegetables. It needs lettuce. It needs sandwich. It needs grains. So think about what a healthy lunch would be. Maybe some yogurt. So today you are going to be sketching out the inside of your lunchbox. You can even write your name on the top of your lunchbox because we know it's yours. And then after you finish it, this is where you chat with your grown-up and you say, okay, now let's say maybe you put apples in your lunch. I love apples. And I could talk to my family and say, apples. Apples are grown on trees. Yes, so they'd be farms on trees. I know where apples come from. But I don't really know where Almond butter comes from, or peanut butter. If you put that on your sandwich, that's when you ask your grown-up, where does peanut butter come from, or where does jelly come from? That's the conversation you're going to have with your grown-up. And the two of you, or the three, or the four of you, whoever you're with today, you can talk about where the other parts of your lunchbox comes from. I can't wait to hear. Grown-ups, you are more than welcome to share it in the comments, or you can even just save it, send it to me later, put it up on your fridge somewhere special. Thank you for joining me today for another great story all about where does my food come from. Join me tomorrow. We're reading another book. And then I will also be sharing some videos of farmers that I have met, and they are going to show you their farms. Can you believe it? Stay tuned. See you later.